The NHL is back, and so are the expert hockey handicappers at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Right now, you can lock in as many handicappers as you want through the Stanley Cup, giving you 25 weeks of hockey for $3.99 using coupon code PuckTime100 when purchasing an NHL season pass. Lock in your favorite handicapper through the Stanley Cup in July.
Welcome back to WagerTalk TV, and happy Friday to you out there, no matter where you are watching this, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you are watching this right now. We appreciate you tuning in. It is puck time and time to talk some hockey. I'm feeling pretty good this morning, guys. I'm feeling pretty happy here. My Montreal Canadiens sitting at the top of the North Division. Carmine, I'll welcome you in here. You had your 5%. Didn't go as well as you would have liked to, and we're always going to mention that stuff, whether it's a win or a loss. So I'll give you a second to touch on that and let us know how your night was otherwise.
Yeah, no, it was obviously disappointing. 4-1 final. It's one of those ones where in the second period, even at 4-0 in the second period, I didn't think it was going to get there. Normally, you want a game that both teams are contributing. The power plays weren't working. I think they're 0 for 11 combined, the power play. When you have a total, whether it's 5.5 or whether it's 6, you're going to need specialty team goals. You're always going to need them. You normally don't get 7 goals on 5-on-5. It was an open game. It didn't get there. It ended on 5, and we were just right back at it. But I posted, I think even before the game was over, I posted the obligatory apology on Twitter, and I almost created a burner account just to troll myself because I was pretty pissed with losing that play. But onward and upward, NHL will improve, and we'll just we'll start it. I know that you and I battled a little bit on that Bruins and Philadelphia one, and that was a crazy game in itself. And I'm sure you and I will battle many times more moving forward. But it's what it is, man. This is a different season. It's going to be a fun season, but it's also going to be a frustrating season at times. And ones like that are frustrating. But again, to the guys, I know a lot of guys use that coupon code in our chat, and I apologize to you guys. We'll get it back.
It definitely is a unique season, and Carm, we will continue to do battle, but at the end of the day, I just want you to win. I want Dave to win. I want myself to do well for my clients. But just to talk about that beat really quick, I had the Philadelphia Flyers on the money line, and my show best bet for puck time was the under 5.5. 2-0 going into the third period, and that score finishes 5-4 in a shootout. Tough one. The best bets have not been great on this show for me. I feel like I've been picking the right spots. A 2-0 game turns into a 5-4 game. You just hate to see it, but we'll try and move forward and get a big winner for you guys on this show as well. Mr. Dave Cokin, happy Friday, man.
Oh, yeah. Happy Friday to you, too. I'm pretty happy with the pucks. I mean, it's been really good. I've only lost 3 games since the start of the season. And in all 3, I had 3-1 leads and lost in overtime. I think I've had one bad read, and that was on the very first play, the Winnipeg-Calgary game, where I did lead 3-1, but Winnipeg beat the crap out of him in the last 2 periods of that game. Outside of that, I've had the right side basically every game I played. 2-0 yesterday. Best bets are perfect. I don't know. I sent a bunch of notes in the promos. I don't have them in front of me, but it's real good right now. So hopefully we'll keep it that way. Not playing a lot. I only play generally 1 game a day, maybe 2. And we'll continue to pick the spots and hopefully get them home. I don't think I'm going to have a best bet tonight. There's a game I like, but there are some potential injury issues, so I'm probably going to keep it as a 3% play. And haven't posted it yet, but we'll likely have the 1 play tonight. And again, I'm real happy with the puck so far.
Yeah, for all of you guys out there watching this show right now, I mean, Dave, since the start of 2021, 4% and 5% plays, 21-8. Not too bad, Dave. Not too bad. Plus 51% return on investment. And, when you go to the page and you see the term best bet in one of Dave's promos, probably a good idea. You go ahead and grab that package and and get started with Dave with his 4% and 5% plays. We'll get started, guys, with our very first game here. It's an interesting one. I'm excited about the games we're going to talk about. We're going to go over Dallas, Nashville, Edmonton, Toronto, New York Rangers and Pittsburgh, Colorado, Anaheim, and Buffalo and Washington. But let's start things off with Dallas and Nashville. The Dallas Stars making their return to the NHL after, well, pretty much being the only team out the gate that had any COVID-19 protocol problems. And now we see this team at plus 100, taking on the Predators, minus 120. The Predators 2-1 on the season in what I would call a very top-heavy division, with pretty much the Tampa Bay Lightning leading the pack, then the Carolina Hurricanes, and then below that, it's kind of a question mark. I'll throw it to you here first, Carmine, on this one. And I want to ask you, do you have any angles you're looking to bet on, whether it's an over or fading this Stars team because they haven't played a game? What's your take on this situation?
My take is pretty simple on this one. In all honesty, I want to pass on this game, which is not the way you want to start a preview of a game. But, here's the thing is, obviously we all know 17 players from the Stars were on that COVID list, excuse me, for testing positive. It's their banner raising tonight. They're raising the banner. They're one of 3 teams that are allowed fans in the arena, along with Florida and Arizona. Obviously not full stadium, but even at 10 to 15% fans, is still a lot of fans in there. Everyone is available tonight that was available to play in that game, in that first game before it was canceled. Like I said, I'm not really ready to put my hard-earned money on a team that's playing their first game in 4 months. I think the last game they played was the 28th of September. So we're almost at 4 months now since they played an actual game other than these scrimmages. And then you're playing against a team that has 3 games under their belt in Nashville. It's one of those games where if the total was 6, I'd be leaning on the under. It's 5.5. It's one of those ones where I just don't know where to go here, Andrew. Maybe Dave can offer some insight to this one, but given the fact that this is their very first game, it might be one of those emotional ones. They're raising the banner, but it's not a championship. It's not a Stanley Cup banner. It's just a Western Conference Champions banner, which I still think is irrelevant at the end of the day. So for me, it is a pass here. If anything, I'd probably lean on the under.
Yeah, well, congratulations for winning your conference and not winning the Stanley Cup, Dave?
I missed what you said, but because I kind of jumped in early. I strongly recommend passing in this game for 2 reasons. You're seeing a lot of Nashville action because the bettors are looking at this saying, oh, well, Dallas hasn't played, so they're going to be rusty. Well, the odds makers already put that in the line. I mean, you get Dallas as a basically pick 'em. Dallas is better than Nashville. I mean, if the teams, if you look at the rosters, Dallas is considerably the better team. So the odds makers already see. This is one of the things about these angles that people come up with, where they think, "Oh, I got something here." The odds makers know more than you do. They're aware of all this stuff, so clearly they've adjusted for the fact that that Dallas hasn't played a game yet. Otherwise, Dallas would be about probably 130, 140 in that range here. So I think if you bet Nashville, you might win, but you are absolutely taking by far the worst of it as far as the value is concerned. And do you really want to put any money on Dallas because they haven't played at all? So to me, there couldn't be an easier pass for me. I didn't even look at it. I just looked at the line and said, well, okay, the odds makers adjusted, and I'm as far away as you can get from a play on this game. And I reckon,
that's a great point, Dave.
This is one of the things I do. I at times strongly recommend passing. I think that passing is a really smart bet or non-bet. And I really think that's the case in this game. If you guys that are watching have a different opinion, I mean, don't let me dissuade you. Fire away. But there's not a chance in the world I'm betting this game.
That's a great point about the odds on that, Dave, because like you said, if this was a regular situation, there's no way that we'd be getting the Predators minus 120. So that's a great call. And all I was saying is I didn't mean to interrupt you or jump in at all, Dave. I apologize about that. I was just saying about with Carmine, when he was talking about them raising their banner, they're raising a banner for the Western Conference. They're not raising a banner for winning anything really, or winning the Stanley Cup. So to me, it's kind of foolish. But look, I don't usually do this kind of stuff, but Dave and I, when we were talking baseball in the summer, we kind of mentioned things like this. I have noticed, specifically when you see a team playing a team that's already played versus them not playing a game yet so far, we'll see a flat spot out the gate. We'll see kind of some sloppy hockey, and then we'll start seeing some goals. We saw that with Florida when they came and played Chicago, and that was an angle I had the full game over in. But what I'm going to advise you guys to do out there watching this game, if you're at home and you have your live betting board up, if this game does start slow and you can get it dropped down to 4.5, or you can get it even dropped down to 3.5 late in the second, I would recommend that. I believe that this game will see more goals as the game progresses, and we could see a slower start. And to Dave's point, paying -120 right now for this Nashville Predators team, if the Dallas Stars put up a fight for their first period and they get their feet under them and they start skating strong, I believe that they will play some good hockey and be back to their norm by the second or third period. Let's face it, not a lot of teams are back to their norm still at this point in the season. We'll move on to our next game here, guys. We'll keep things rolling with our marquee matchup of the day. It's the Edmonton Oilers, Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto favorites here, -125. The puck line, +185 for them. And Dave, I want to throw it to you first and just start with this. I had somebody message me on Twitter the first time these two teams faced, and they said, it looks like the Wild and the Kings game right now and not the Oilers and the Leafs. That was some sloppy hockey and some shockingly defensive hockey as well.
Well, that's the style Edmonton. I don't ask me why. If I've got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on the same team, they're playing on the same line. I know Tippett did this last year. I didn't like it then. I still don't like it. He's not pairing them because he wants to try and balance the lines.
Mm-hmm.
You see the Bruins breaking up. I mean, obviously Pasternak's not there yet. He'll be back shortly. But the one line the Bruins don't break up, unless it's maybe for a period here or there just to shake things up when they need it. But the one line that stays together all the time is Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's arguably the best line in the league. You don't break up your power. I completely disagree with what Tippett's done in Edmonton. There's not a chance in the world I'd break up those two, but that's what he's doing. So Edmonton is taking a completely dominant line with the best player in the game, and I don't know, kind of making it ordinary. I think that plays to the other team. Maple Leafs did lose 3-1 in the last game these two teams played. I thought the Maple Leafs were the better team by a considerable margin for the first two periods in that game. Edmonton did play better in the third period. I think it was 1-1 on even strength goals. There was a power play goal for Edmonton, and then they scored an empty net late. I think Toronto gets them here, but a little cautionary flag. Check the injuries, because Jumbo Joe is definitely out. And Matthews apparently got a little dinged up in the game the other night, and I don't know what his status is. It looks like by what's happening with the number that he might be out. I have not checked an update yet. I like Toronto here, but I don't know that I'll make it a best bet simply because I don't know who's playing at this point. And if Matthews is out, that's a pretty big absence for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, it's a sizable loss for that team, I'd say, losing Matthews, and it has been undisclosed. They haven't really mentioned what the injury has been, but I don't think he'll be in that lineup.
He came out of the game the other night. It was a very physical game the other night.
Yes.
And what I heard yesterday, watching NHL Network, actually, was that he got beat up a little bit in the game, and evidently didn't practice yesterday.
Yes.
Well, I can jump in on that one, Andrew, if you want.
Go ahead.
So it's a fractured rib for Thornton, so he's going to be out at least a month. Right. And as far as Matthews goes, Matthews is not in the lineup tonight. Sheldon Keefe confirmed that he is out with upper body soreness and is day-to-day right now. So if you're looking at what the Leaf lines are going to look like, it's going to be Nylander, Tavares, and Hyman on the first line, Vesey, Kerfoot, and Marner on the second line, and Mikheyev, Spezza, and Simmons on that third line. So there's a drop off in scoring as far as those lines go for tonight. And when you look at how that first game went. Pretty much everyone in the Twitter world or anyone that I spoke to was on the over in that first game, and the Oilers played probably one of their best defensive games that they have since going back even before the pandemic shut down back in March. This team wasn't very good defensively. We saw it in the playoffs and thus far this year. But they put in a good one. They gave the Leafs very little, and the Leafs played pretty good in losing 3-1. But they held them to 26 shots on goal, and they were disciplined. Only 2 penalties in that game against Toronto. Can they do it a couple of games in a row? I would have said before all this news came out, I would have said there's no way the Oilers can hold the Leafs to a goal again tonight. But a couple important pieces out of the lineup tonight for the Leafs. And anytime you reshuffle lines, as Dave talked about, it's always tough when you reshuffle these lines to just get that that momentum going and just like that cohesiveness between them. So I like Toronto tonight, laying that short price, which was like 140, which is, I never want to lay more than 150, and they're 140, and I've seen they've dropped to like 130 right now with that news, and likely will drop a little bit more. So I would figure the Leafs are going to be about 120, 125 tonight in this game.
Guys, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, most likely, but I actually have been wanting this Leafs team to jungle the lines up a little bit, to toss the lines in a blender and make a smoothie and see what happens, see what comes out, because I don't like the idea of their lines being so top heavy and having their stars all together. To Dave's point about what the Oilers are doing, I believe that that's what the Leafs should do. I like having Hyman up there. He brings that grit, that speed, the two-way defensive effort style to him. I like having Mikheyev up there. I like getting Simmons some more time. I mean, why bring in a guy like Simmons just to be back there on the fourth line? I understand his speed isn't there. I'll finish and I'll throw it to you. Okay. I believe when you've got a guy like Joe Thornton on your top line, I hate to say something like this, and this is out of character for me, but I could have created some betting odds for how long it would take for him to be out of the lineup. He's an older guy. He's up there in the top line. I think the top line should have been mixed with some other guys that are more two-way, like Zach Hyman or Kerfoot or even Simmons up there, despite their skill. If you mix all skill players to get each other and then all tough guys and two-way players together, it's just the exact same thing the Leafs have always been, zero depth. But if you throw them together and mix Hyman with Matthews and mix Kerfoot with Marner, to me, that makes for a better all-around hockey team.
So my point is more like if you got 2 power lines and the other 2 lines are just do the best you can, make sure the 2 power lines are together, especially at home where you got the last change. I just think you get to me, it's overcoaching when coaches start splitting up their best players. You want to get at least have one dominant line out there if you've got the personnel. And I've always felt this way. This is not some new thought. This goes back. I've been watching hockey for 60 years, basically. And it's always irritated me, even at the minor league level. When I grew up in a minor league hockey town, and it's like you have these coaches who take the 3 best forwards and split them up among 3 lines. It's like, why don't you put them together and have one really good line? Scare the crap out of the other team. And I still believe that to be true. And that's why I get on Tippett's case, because I think it's overcoaching. And with the Maple Leafs, you got 2 power. I mean, with Matthews out, it changes a little bit, but you basically got 2 really good lines. I don't care how you mix them up. You're still only going to have 2 real good lines in that team.
I agree.
So
I
just look at the most out of your best players.
I get what Andrew's saying, though, of adding some toughness. I think Andrew's thinking of, and actually Andrew wasn't even born during this time, but Andrew's kind of thinking of those 1980s days, Dave, where, Dave Semenko was getting 20, 25 points a season just because he would get onto a line with Gretzky every once in a while. This is a guy who had 150 plus minutes every single season. He was the tough guy.
Well, look
right?
at Zach Kassian.
Your players.
Zach Kassian plays on the number 1 line, Carm, with Connor McDavid. You think it's because of his skill?
Yeah, no, it's
right?
not. It's not. And
Exactly.
listen,
That's my
That
point.
makes
and I
my
get it.
point. Why are you putting Cassian on for toughness? You know,
But
I
Dave, it's
get
not
it.
working
And
for
the
the
point
you
of,
Leafs.
still got to have a guy who can put the. It's okay to have the toughness out there, but the guy should have offensive skills as well. This goes
Yes.
back to the
Yeah.
Bruins days when they had Phil Esposito with um, uh, Wayne Cashman, who was the other, and I'm forgetting. Cashman was the tough guy, but Cashman could also put the puck in the net.
yeah.
I want to make sure that my best guy, especially if he's the best guy in the league, which Connor McDavid still is, has two weapons out there with him. And to me, it's stupid to not have Draisaitl on the ice with him. I think it's absolutely stupid. And I know there's some people who disagree with that, but
I definitely agree with it on the Oilers, not so much with the Leafs. We'll move on, guys. Keep things going. That was a great topic, and I think we could go at it all day long. It's good to be back talking hockey and debating stuff like that. Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is a very interesting game because, well, we saw a little bit of money coming in on this Rangers team as an underdog spot. We know how talent-filled they are. We know they have a great goaltender in Shesterkin, but we also know for years how strong this Pittsburgh Penguins team has been. And I believe that has to be something that's factored into this line. This is going to be a Pittsburgh team that has their flat spots, that has their down games, and then they'll win it in a shootout or overtime one of these days, or take the Washington Capitals to an overtime period, things of that nature. I look at this, Carmine, immediately I see the price here for the Rangers, a talented team that I've actually faded so far in this season, and think, you know what? This is a pretty good price to bet on the Rangers.
Yeah, if it was a little higher, it would be a better price. I mean, like this really could have been the pick 'em game in the sense of you could make a case for taking either side in this game, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Obviously, Pittsburgh's looked much better in those two wins over Washington than they did in those blowout losses to Philadelphia. And then you look at this Ranger side who haven't played well. I honestly believe the Rangers need to, this early in the season, forget about this 1-1A goaltending thing with Georgiev and Shesterkin. If he's your goalie of the future, get him in there now, see what he can do. Give him 5, 6, 7 starts in a row. If you haven't, other than those 3 games in 5 nights where you put in Georgiev, and let's see what this kid can do. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be your best goalie. He was very good last season. Defensively, these teams are struggling. You watch them on the ice, and that's why the total is where it is right now. You know what I mean? 6.5. If you asked me to find you a game on the night where I didn't want to take a side, but I was going to take a total because I thought it would be the highest scoring game, this is the one. I actually think this is probably the highest scoring game of the night. It might be one of the ones to watch, sort of like those the Canadian battle we saw between Vancouver and Montreal the last couple of nights. This could be one similar. I just don't see how either one of these teams they're just not very good defensive teams, but they have, as you said, Andrew, a ton of talent on those top 2 or 3 lines that we see some goals tonight.
Dave, I'll get your thoughts here.
Yeah, my thoughts on the Penguins are the same as they were before the season started, and it seems to be playing out that way. Obviously, they still got plenty of offense, but I don't like them defensively, particularly, and I don't like them in the goal. I think goaltending is going to be an issue for them all season long. So you give me a price like this, I got to look at the Rangers side. It's come down some, but you can still get plus 130 range with the Rangers. I would look at that side.
Yeah, guys, I mean, I don't always look into just the past couple games and think, okay, that's how I'm going to decide my handicap. But the only team so far to really stump this Rangers team is the Islanders. And the Islanders, as we all know, are a very good defensive team. They have quality goaltending. It's going to be a different story when they play the Pittsburgh Penguins, and a little bit more sloppy of a hockey game. And as Dave pointed out about Pittsburgh's goaltending, well, they've let in some goals. They've let in some goals that a lot of people probably wouldn't let in. A lot of goalies probably wouldn't let in. So I think it's a pretty consensus. The underdog could be the look here. It's a pretty good price, and Carmine wishes it was a little bit better for him. But we'll take what we can get. Colorado taking on Anaheim, the heavy favorite of the day segment. However, we've got one team, Colorado Avalanche, minus 200. They're coming off a loss to the LA Kings, Dave.
Yep. And they led early in that game, and the Kings came back and got him. And the Kings kind of outplayed him. So I think Colorado's going to be a little bit angry about that. And Anaheim isn't beating any good, angry teams. They're just not a very good team. I think you see the Avalanche bounce back here. I can't make a case for the dog. I'm not interested in laying that kind of a price, but it's Colorado or nothing for me.
Carmine?
Yeah, I talk about I keep reiterating myself each and every time when we talk about these heavy favorites. We saw last night what laying these big money line on a team. You just can't think a team is minus 260, 270, and they're automatic to win. You can try and take the puck line. If they're going to win, normally it's going to be one of those one-sided type games. I'm not laying 280 on this team. Yeah, yes, I think they're going to bounce back tonight against an Anaheim team that aren't very good and don't score a lot of goals. But the price never dictates the final result. Like, how do you feel about laying 220? You look at what they did last night. They're up 2-0. You think they're going to coast, and all of a sudden that's it for them. The Kings win that game 4-2, which essentially blows up every Colorado bet that was out there, whether it was Colorado money line, Colorado puck line, whether it was team total. Everything was blown up. When you thought you were going to win, you ended up losing. And then you look at Anaheim. Anaheim actually plays. They haven't been a very good team the last few years, and yet they play Colorado tough. If you look at the last 5 times they've met, excuse me, Anaheim's won 4 of the last 5, and here are the prices on the Avs. When I looked this up on my database, minus 140, minus 210, minus 185, and my all-time favorite, they were minus 370 in losing to Anaheim. So how do you feel about laying odds on them? I don't feel great about it. It's a pass. You can say to yourselves, they're going to bounce back, they're going to win, but you lay 280, and now you've got to win 3 games. If they lose, you've got to win 3 bets to make back that 280 on a team. No, it's a absolute pass for me. If you're taking it, good luck. I hope you win. I'm not.
My money will just be on the team total under 2.5 for the Anaheim Ducks. I don't think they can score. I don't think they're a good, talented offensive team whatsoever. I think the third line for the Maple Leafs could be the, second or first line for this Anaheim Ducks team. And, they'll score goals eventually, but not in this spot against a pretty pissed off and angry Colorado Avalanche team. We'll get into our last segment here, talking totals. We are going to talk Buffalo and Washington. Well, quickly, we don't want to take too long on this, but there's definitely some COVID protocols to discuss here. I mean, the Russians on the team, a couple of them anyway, were hanging out in their hotels. They were, breaking some of the protocols and some of the rules led by the team. Alex Ovechkin, the captain of the team, one of the guys to do that and break those rules. And now we have Samsonov, the goaltender. It's been announced that he has COVID-19. So this number of 5.5 and the price tag we're seeing on these odds, for any of you guys that didn't hear that news, is certainly being reflected in that. So we're talking totals. We'll give you guys a chance to discuss the side as well, but I'll start with you, Carmine. How do you feel about this total of 5.5, despite having those couple key guys out of the game?
Yeah, I can see it and why it should be here. Like this, the funny thing is, when I was making my notes for this last night, I thought to myself, this could actually be the line mover game, because the Sabres opened at like 120, and I saw them go to 130, 135, 140. And I saw them as high as 150 and then back down to like 120. And I'm like, this has to be an overreaction to the guys out of the lineup. I understand Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Orlov, Samsonov are out. There's still talent on this Washington team, So you have to take that into consideration. You know what I mean? Allmark's back in net tonight. He should be in net tonight. He took a few days off because of the death of his father, but he's back with the team. Did practice, so I assume he's going to be in goal tonight. And he's the better of the Sabre goalies, of course. When you look at Carter Hutton and Johan Johansson, who is on their taxi squad, but they brought him in an emergency thing. The Caps have beaten the Sabres 9 of the last 10 at home. the Caps are still a very good team. You know what I mean? So I don't understand the line. I can see what they're thinking, and maybe the market's reacting to these guys out. If the Sabres emulate what they did against the Flyers, then they've got a chance to win this game. It's probably their best chance to beat Washington in Washington. As far as the total, I think with Allmark and net, it could be an emotional game where the team steps up to get them the win, knowing what has happened. But I would lean to the under here with a couple of those guys out. As far as the side, wouldn't want to touch it, but I would lean to, even though 5.5 isn't a normal total for these teams, I would take the under.
Dave, how do you react here to those guys being out of the lineup?
I think Washington makes a big effort here. And this, I would lean to the Capitals getting this price. Again, this goes back to what we talked about in the very first game with the Dallas game and the odds makers adjusting and the bettors not being smart enough to see the adjustment. Well, the odds makers have done that here. You got the Sabres are now, it's come back down a little bit, but decent-sized road favorites. This is Buffalo, a road favorite at Washington. Well, that's obviously because of the guys that are out for Washington, but to me, you're crazy if you take the Sabres, even if you think they're going to win. You're getting the worst of it as far as the odds are concerned. To me, it would just be a value opinion on the Capitals, simply because, I mean, you're talking about what, a 40 to 50 cent adjustment in the line of where it should be? If everybody's playing for Washington, they're what, minus 150, minus 160 in this game.
Yep.
You just that's an absurd adjustment, but it's based completely on what the bettors, on what the books know the bettors are going to do, and the bettors have been doing it. Now, what you're seeing is that the math guys, if you will, waited for this line to get as high as it was going to get, and now are buying back the Washington side. Values on the Capitals still at any plus price. Washington would be it's not going to be on my card. I don't like it, but I would only take Washington.
I would only take Washington as well. And I think that revenge games and bounce back spots, those words get thrown around so much, guys. But on this season, haven't we seen it, Dave? Haven't we seen it, Carmine? I mean, a team loses against one team, they bounce back the next game with a strong effort. Let's not forget, Washington's last game, they blew a 4-2 lead as an underdog to the Pittsburgh Penguins and lost 5-4. So that's also an angle here. We're going to wrap things up here with some show best bets as well. I just wanted to throw out two quick props, so two player props for the show. I'm 5-0. Unbelievable start with my player props. I hit a plus 170 last night on Mark Scheifele. I'm not playing a lot of these guys. I'm very low volume with them. When I see a spot, I'm pulling the trigger. I have two for tonight. We have Connor McDavid at plus 120. It's a low price, but I've also been paying that with McKinnon, and I betted with him before, and he scored a goal. I think he's due. I think he'll have a great game against Toronto tonight. Also, a little more of a better price, plus 170. Artemi Panarin to find the back of the net for the New York Rangers. All three of us thought the Rangers were a live dog. Panarin has actually looked great on the season. His shot count has been high. He's just kind of struggled to find the back of the net. And I think tonight at plus 170 is a price that we're not going to get a lot of the time with this guy to score a goal on any given night. So that's kind of what I'm going for, guys. We got Connor McDavid plus 120 and Panarin at plus 170, both to score goals on the night. Dave, I'm going to start with you. Let us know what you have up at WagerTalk.com and give us a show best bet if you can.
Best bets have been incredible. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have one tonight. I am going to have a 3% play in college basketball, and those have not been good, but I do like the one I've got tonight. Now, I will have an NHL play, but I'm going to keep it at the 3% because there's no reason to force something out there for sales. I never do that. That's the way I'm going to play it. So I'll give it out that way. I have not posted that yet, but it'll be up in probably 10 minutes after we're done with the show. And hopefully some big stuff over the weekend that's a little more exciting as far as best bets go. Oh, and as far as the show goes, this isn't the game I'm betting. It would be my second choice tonight on the card. Would be the Rangers at plus money against the Penguins.
Carmine, what about yourself? Any soccer action for the weekend? I believe you have a big bet going on in the weekend as well for the NFL.
Yeah, I have a soccer card up for today, NHL card up as well too. I put up a special NFL package, which is both conference games this weekend and the Super Bowl when that play will be posted in that package along with all the props. So it's a special package that covers the rest of the NFL this season. So you can get that over at WagerTalk on my page. I'm not part of Dave Cokin's marketing team, but I failed to mention this on Monday. With regards to Dave, is you really need to get his either his All Access or his NHL Access because Dave's been money in releasing his plays a little later in the day. So if you go to his page and you're looking for NHL in the morning, sometimes you're not going to find it. He waits for as much information as you can get throughout the day, and then he releases his plays. So you might not get those plays until 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It really is a good idea to get that NHL All Access or his All Access because of that, because the man made money for everyone last year in NHL. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. As far as my best bet, this hasn't changed even with the information that came out today or during the show with Austin Matthews out of the game. But I just don't believe this Edmonton Oilers team defensively is that good or can be as good as they were in that first game against the Leafs. I'm coming with the Leafs puck line here, even though the Leafs minus 130 is one of my plays today over at Wager Talk. The Leafs puck line minus 1.5. It was plus 155, I believe, when I sent it in as a best bet on the show, but you can get it at plus 180 now. Leafs puck line. We'll see what that top line of Marner, Tavares, and Hyman can do. But even with that scoring out of the lineup, I think the Leafs bounce back from that 3-1 defeat and beat the Oilers tonight.
Good stuff there from Carm and Dave, both found at wagertalk.com. I'll keep it really short and sweet for myself. I have NHL, a 3-pack up for tonight. UFC, 8-2 in my last 10. A pack going up after the show for Saturday night's card. And NFL prop package. Props for me, I'm plus 40% net profit last 2.5 months with NFL props, quarterback props, receiving props, rushing props, you name it. Thank you guys so much for watching here. My best bet, gotta get that out. The Dallas and Nashville over 5.5 is what I'm gonna roll with here. Look, I know it's the Dallas Stars. I know they're very defensive, but I feel like this is an angle I have made money on. I've cashed in on. We got one team playing that's already played, one team playing that might be a little bit rusty. We're gonna expect some sloppiness and some goals, guys. Over 5.5, my best bet here on the show, Nashville and Dallas. We appreciate you guys all for watching. We'll see you on Monday for Puck Time. Have a great weekend, guys. For Carm, for Dave, I'm Andrew. We'll see you Monday. Thanks a lot, guys.
The NHL is back, and so are the expert hockey handicappers at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Right now, you can lock in as many handicappers as you want through the Stanley Cup, giving you 25 weeks of hockey for $3.99 using coupon code PuckTime100 when purchasing an NHL season pass. Lock in your favorite handicapper through the Stanley Cup in July.